Hey Panda family, welcome to the Post-it Extreme Notes review video that we're doing. So I saw these in Walmart. They were in the clearance aisle and they looked very interesting to me. They say that they can stick in very tough conditions on wood, brick, hot and cold and wet environments. You can use indoor or outdoor, so let's go ahead and open these up and take a look at them. So you get 3 pads. You get green, orange, and yellow. And they say that they can stick in very tough situations, so we're going to put them to the test here today to see if they actually do work the way that they say that they do. So they do have a very interesting texture to them. They definitely feel like they're a bit more heavy duty than just regular paper. They kind of feel like very tough fibers all laid together. I think it'll be interesting to test these out and see if you can actually write on them and see if they actually work the way that regular Post-it notes would, but in more environments that if you're a trucker or somebody that has a bit of a harder environment to work with them. So the first test that we're going to take on them is I want to see if they actually work in wet conditions. So this would be if you're sticking them out somewhere, maybe on a box or somewhere outside to make a note. I'm not sure what kind of note you would make. But then say it rained or you have a sprinkler system turn on. I want to make sure that these actually work the way that they say they do. So I'm sticking them inside the shower because I figured what better way to actually test something out controlled. Unfortunately, me living in Arizona, it doesn't always rain here. So we're testing this out. Got them stuck into the shower enclosure. And we're going to turn on the shower head and test these out. So I'm just doing a standard, very light shower head. And they're not really doing anything. I can't really tell if anything's really working. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually turn it on a higher powered shower head to see if that will work. So yeah, it's definitely getting them wet. They're definitely seeming to stick better onto the shower wall, so I can't really tell if these are actually doing anything. So let's go ahead and spray some water underneath to see if I can actually get the water to pull them off of the wall. And they're actually sticking pretty good. So I'm kind of impressed with these. They actually do stick to the wall. They're not really getting sprayed off with the water. But I definitely think it'd be interesting if you had like washable marker or some sort of ink on these, that them getting wet, if the ink would just run off paper. Yeah, these just are not coming off the wall. They're actually holding on pretty good. I'm very impressed. I think these would work really well outside. Yeah, these just don't want to let go. They're like super stuck on the wall. All right, so I'm thinking we've given them a pretty good run for their money here with the water test. They're stuck on the side of the wall. They're not coming off, spraying water on them. I am doing the highest shower head setting that I have, and they're just not coming off the wall. So I would say that this does definitely pass the water test of actually being stuck onto a surface and then them getting wet. They're just not gonna come off. All right, so I actually wanna see how sticky they are, so I'm gonna pull them off and test them. Oh yes, they actually still are a little bit sticky. That's kind of crazy. So I wanna see if I can actually rip one of these or pull it apart since it is wet. And they're actually really, really tough. But I think I did find a vulnerability spot where they actually have the glue. You can actually rip those right down the middle, it seems. So you can actually destroy them, but you can't rip them apart. So that's kind of interesting. So I wanted to also test them underneath running water. And I wanted to show up more of an up close look at them, see how they actually react with water. So since they're not just regular paper, they don't absorb the water, but you definitely need to stick these on a surface first, because if you try to get them wet and then stick them to the surface, they won't stick. So it's just not tearing apart. They're very strong. but I do want to test out ink. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a Sharpie marker right here, and I'm going to just write on one. And I figured, you know, what the heck, you know, we really do need to subscribe to PewDiePie. If you don't know about the whole T-Series versus PewDiePie, you definitely check that out. Subscribe to PewDiePie if you haven't already. And they are kind of difficult to write on, so that was kind of interesting. So I do have to kind of go over it a couple times. So definitely keep that in mind if you really do need something extreme and it's going to hold on to something that normal Post-it notes won't. Keep in mind it might be kind of hard to write on, but definitely subscribe to PewDiePie. Oh, almost knocked something off the counter there. All right, so go ahead and take this off and let's put it under the water. So yeah, this ink actually looks like it's staying on. So it's definitely hard to write on, but it's staying on there, even underneath the water. So I say these definitely pass the water test. Fantastic, phenomenal. So if you need these to stick underwater, definitely. Just keep in mind that the weakness point is definitely where the glue is on the Post-it note. Perfect. So the next test we're going to move on to is the hot. And the best way I could think about this, since it isn't too hot in Arizona yet, is to actually try it on the stove. So we're going to go ahead and stick a couple Post-it notes on the stove burner. I do not recommend doing this at home. It might ruin your burner on your stove. It could also cause them to actually catch on fire. So just keep that in mind. So I am doing this under the understanding that this could cause an issue, but I definitely still wanted to test them out. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the burner and let's see what happens. Now, as the burner is heating up, I can see some smoke coming from the Post-it notes and they are starting to turn brown. So they're definitely getting pretty toasty here. They're still sticking though, so that's interesting. I would think that the heat would actually heat up the adhesive and make it not as sticky. But these are supposed to be extreme Post-it notes, so I would assume that since they say they can handle hot weather, that they'll stick to the stove. Yeah, so it is pretty hot, so I'm just being very careful, and you can see there is steam raising from that one that I just lifted up, and they are turning brown. Oh, there's more smoke. Okay, so yeah, it is getting pretty smoky. I'm gonna turn off the burner just to make sure that they don't catch fire, but they are still sticking pretty decently. They are brown though, as you can see. I'm gonna toss that over there. That one was still kind of sticky, and this one I'm trying to be very careful to pull up, and that one was still sticky as well. It was in the middle of the burner. So yeah, I would say that the hot test, they definitely passed, so we're good there as well. Just try to be careful with that one. All right, and the one of the tests I think is gonna be the most interesting is cold. So we're gonna stick some Post-it notes here in the freezer. I'm gonna put some just kind of everywhere in here. And then we're gonna go ahead and leave them for a little bit and check back just to see if they are still stuck, because I think the glue will freeze. They will fall off the sides and the walls and the ceiling of the freezer. So we're gonna stick those there, and then we will come back and check them in just a little bit. Leave your thought in the comment section if you think that they'll still be stuck when we come back. And then they say they can stick in very tough areas, and I thought what better place to stick them than on the stucco. Since they have so many air pockets and valleys and high hills, and it's just a very interesting material. So I thought, you know what better way to like leave a Post-it note on the side of a house or something with a note for somebody. And we'll see if these actually stick. So I am pressing them into the crevices to see if they actually like do stick. This would be something that anybody else would. And they actually do kind of stick. They are very light, but they do stick to the material. So very interesting. So yeah, I would say that this works as well. So let's go ahead and check out the freezer. I left them in there for about 2 hours. So we're gonna go back and check those out. All right, so they are still stuck, and they actually stuck very, very well. Probably the best out of any environment. They actually stuck the best here, and I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, they actually worked and they're good to go. So that's super interesting. They're not sticky anymore though, so these are definitely a stick once and that is it. We tried them indoor and outdoor. We tried them on hot and cold and wet environments, and I even stuck them on stucco that would be better than wood or brick to try them on. So if you like this product, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you have a great day. Remember, I love every single one of you, and I'll see you in my next video.